Well, some political parties say Godongwana's budget lacked real solutions to economic growth. They say it only tightens government spending in 2025. Business reporter Ntokozo Khumalo has the details.
Economic growth, revenue and a debt bill that remains high. The National Treasury revised its annual economic growth forecast from 1.3% to 1.1%. Finance Minister Godongwana, during his tabling of the midterm budget policy statement, also indicated that growth is forecast to average 1.8% over the medium term. He warned this environment means the Treasury will continue having to make tough decisions on where revenue is spent. The MK party says the budget highlighted that the government of national unity remains committed to austerity instead of uplifting the poor in the country.
This alliance between Ramaphosa's ANC and the DA signals a troubling commitment to the IMF-backed policies that have continually failed our people. The MTBPS, presented under the guise of structural reforms and private sector participation, clearly signals an intent to defund, collapse and privatize our state-owned entities, in effect state-owned companies.
The economic freedom fighters shared the sentiment, with leader Julius Malema highlighting Godongwana's warnings that the country will have to weigh competing demands to make necessary trade-offs to achieve the fiscal sustainability needed to support inclusive economic growth.
Is that it's the first neoliberal budget of the coalition of the DA and the ANC, which prioritizes the racialized apartheid styles of economic growth, and its intention is to continue privatization of strategic sectors of our economy. How come do you have a midterm budget that has got no clear plan on how we are going to reduce unemployment? Because the problem of unemployment in South Africa is very serious. The issue of infrastructure development is just paying a lip service.
Fast-tracking infrastructure projects will also prove difficult, considering that the South African Revenue Service missed the National Treasury's tax collection forecast by 22.3 billion rand for the 2024-25 financial year. The primary budget revenue estimate has also been lowered by 31.2 billion rand over the next 2 years. The African Transformation Movement says there are easy wins to raise revenue that the government seems to be overlooking.
CATM kudala sisitsho ukuba makafocus on ukukhulisa imali. Number one, une illicit trade apho, for example, tobacco industry, the illicit tobacco industry. There's more than 18 billion in taxes esinokwazi ukuyifumana phana. There's illicit financial flows kananjalo apho besikwazi ukungenisa imali. The
United Democratic Movement says there was no innovative thinking to the midterm budget policy statement, but more of the same.
How they crafted the budget is still along the lines of the priorities which were set by the previous administration and not the current GNU government. That's number one. Number two, we can't talk about embarking on an infrastructure-led growth if the SOEs continue to perform suboptimally. In fact, instead of helping the country with this developmental state mandate, they constitute a drain on the fiscus.
ANC's National Assembly Chief Whip highlights that while the country still has obstacles to overcome, intensifying collaboration will foster economic growth.
In that work of government, we do need to call on the private sector to also join hands with the democratic state, because the challenges can be very overwhelming. And countries that succeed, they do so only because there is a tight coordination and cooperation between the public and the private sector.
Finance Minister Godongwana will table the national budget in Parliament in February. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Ntokozo Khumalo in Johannesburg.